Hi guys, it's Carol from Cape Cod Cottage Garden. So it is March 1st, so it's time to sow peppers. I have all these peppers that I want to sow this year. I have a couple of new ones in here and then some tried and true ones that I grow every year. So let's get sowing. So let's just go over the pepper varieties I am going to grow this year. Some of them are new, some of them, like I said, tried and true. The first one you might know because pretty familiar pepper to everybody. This is the regular jalapeno pepper. It's a pretty hot pepper, especially if you eat the seeds. But then I'm also growing the nanapino. And this one has the flavor of a jalapeno, but it's not as hot at all. It's pretty mild, actually. And this one I grew for the first time, I think last year. This is called Sugar Rush Peach, and they look like this. They're really cool peppers. And I would say they're not very hot, not as hot as a jalapeno in my experience. They kind of have an interesting heat to them. I would say the heat would be considered mild. They do have a complex flavor and they're really pretty, so I did enjoy these. Now these lunchbox reds, I'll have to pop a picture up if I can find one. These are just little red snacking peppers, maybe even a little smaller than a jalapeno in my experience that I just basically just eat as a snack while I'm gardening. I like snacking. And these long, thin cayenne peppers. These I grow and I usually just make like hot pepper flakes with them to sprinkle on pizza and sauces and stuff like that we really enjoy these. These I got as a free seed. It looks like 2 years ago now. Wow, time flies. But we really like them. These are really small peppers. They're probably like an inch or two in length. Super hot, guys, super hot. So these are kind of like a little party trick. Hey, who can eat this pepper type of thing. So yeah, but they're really pretty, but they have a really lot of heat. This is a new one for me this year, and I got it as a free seed from Baker Creek. It's called Pequino Yellow. And these things are little tiny peppers. And let me just read the back because I thought this was crazy. It's a tiny yellow Brazilian pepper, tangy and sweet with just a hint of heat, which I love that. One plant will produce an average of 100 little peppers and will grow up to 24 inches tall. Can you believe that? 100 peppers per plant. They can be eaten fresh, but are really preferred pickled in vinegar. Doesn't that sound good? That would be so nice to have these pickled and like chop them up for like a sandwich or a salad. I thought that'd be really good. Now this is a pepper I've grown for a couple years now. And I really enjoy this. It's kind of a snacking pepper. It's a little bigger than like a typical snacking pepper, but they look just like that. I think I do have some video footage. If I can find it, I'll put it in and show you how cute they are. And they're just such a pretty purple color. It just says, pointed wedge-shaped fruit is purple streaked with pale yellow, ripening to red. Sweet and crisp. And they were sweet and crisp. Delicious. Now, my two kinds of bell peppers that I grow. Wow, I didn't realize these seeds are 3 years old. So these are just sweet peppers like bell peppers. This one's a California Wonder, a very popular pepper. Wow, those are kind of old. I probably should plant more seeds of these. Oh well. And also King of the North. Very similar style, bell pepper, sweet pepper. And my favorite, ta-da, the winner. I don't know if, I just feel like I use these the most. They're not really hot. I use these all the time. When I go to get peppers in my garden, I always just tend to grab these Italian Jimmy Nardello peppers. I love these. These are my favorite. So those are the peppers I will be sowing. So I'm basically going to do my peppers a little differently with the soil. I am going to have half potting mix right now. This is my potting mix. I am going to be using the Fort V's potting mix, but you can use any good potting mix that you so desire. And then I'm also going to put in about half seed starting mix, and I'll explain why I'm going to do this. Let me grab the seed starting mix. So in my container here, you can see I have on this side, I have some potting mix. This is Fort V's regular potting mix. Let me show you. And over here, I have Pro Mix seed starting mix. You can see the difference in the soil. This is much lighter and looser, and this is a little more dense. So what I do for my peppers, I'm going to mix this because one thing peppers don't like is they don't like to be too wet because they can get root rot very easily. I know I say I always use potting mix for all my seedlings, but for peppers, I do mix in a little seed starting mix because I know I'm going to be potting these up very quickly. So when I pot them up, I will use straight potting mix once they get a little more established. So I'm not worried about their nutrition needs at this point because they're gonna be potted up very, very quickly. This just allows the soil to drain a little bit more freely so the roots don't get wet and I don't get rotted roots and have my seedlings die. So I'm just gonna mix this all together and I'm gonna add in a little water so it's moist. Yeah, I'm just gonna give this a mix to incorporate that water because this seed starter mix is super dry and that's why I was coughing because I was almost breathing it in. And I didn't strain this time. I'm gonna pick out any big chunks I see, and just like starting any other seeds, you want your potting mix to be moist but not sopping wet. So you're gonna do the squeeze test. Let me incorporate some more water and mix this in and I'll come back when it's ready. So here's my soil. It's moist, but it's not dripping out. It's holding together, so that's just perfect. So like I said before, the key with peppers is you want a really well draining soil. You don't want them sitting in water. Let's fill up our trays. So I'm using these containers for my peppers. I'm not gonna do 6 of each variety. I just don't have the room for all those plants. And even if only one grows, I'm fine. So some of them I'm doing, like in this, for example, I'm doing 3 lunchbox reds and 3 sugar rush peach. The only one I'm doing a full 6 cell is my Jimmy Nardellos because I love those the most. So now I'm ready to fill my little tray. So what I do is I just scoop it up, shake it in like that, pack it down a little bit. Don't pack it down a lot, just enough so there's not too much air in the cells. Take out any big chunks you see and finish up, just like that. Now I'm gonna start sowing. So most peppers wanna be sown 1/4 inch deep. I'm gonna start with my Nanapinos. So I'm just gonna make a little hole. I think I might try to do 2 seeds in each cell. And this is what the seeds look like. It's like that. My hands are filthy. My hands are filthy. 1, 2, 3. And in case that one doesn't sprout, I'm just going to stick one in the corner. I will snip one of these. If they both germinate, I'll just snip one of them. This is just the little insurance policy. Oops. Gently cover it. Those are the Nanapinos. As easy as that. Next is the jalapenos. Now I'm obviously not gonna let you sit here and watch me sow all of these peppers. Just wanted to give you a general idea. It's pepper party time. Guys, I'm late on so many things. I haven't started my ranunculus or my anemone yet. Anemone, I always say it wrong. It's anemone. I don't know why I call it anemone, but it's anemone. Haven't even started sprouting those yet, so I'm late on that. I have a whole slew of flowers to get into. Sometimes it makes it hard to make videos. Like sometimes I just want to come down here and just literally power through and sow all my seeds. But I try to share with you guys, but that does take longer, obviously. My Jimmy Nardellos. The Jimmy Nardellos are my favorite. I use these the most out of all the peppers I grow. Ooh, there's not that many in here. Let's see. Uh-oh. Could I be out of my favorite peppers? Oh no, I got plenty. So I got all the peppers sown. I'm really trying not to overdo it this year, so that's why you see I've only done a few 6-packs. Now I'm just sprinkling on the vermiculite on top. And a few things about peppers you have to be aware of. One, we already discussed. They don't like really wet soil because they can get root rot really easily. But the other thing they need is they need heat, guys. They like their soil to be like 80, 85, 90 degrees, like hot. Like you're cooking those seeds. So if you don't have a heat mat and you want to grow peppers, now is the time maybe to invest in a heat mat. I have a really hard time keeping my soil warm enough. I've been trying to keep my other plants at 70 degrees and It's not happening, guys. My soil's only like at 62. That's why my germination's taken so long and my things are growing slow. So I just turned my heat mat up for my other things. And for these, I'm gonna turn it up to like, I don't know, 85 probably. And one thing I didn't know, because this is the first time I've had a thermostat with my heat mat, is, let me show you actually, hang on. And I kind of figured this out on my own, but here's my heat mat. I have it on a thermostat. It does feel a little warmer now because I turned it way up. I was taking my probe and putting it directly on the heat mat. So down here, yeah, it was 70 degrees. But if you had to go through this plastic tray and up all the way to the top of the soil where my seeds were, it was like 62. No wonder why these things are so tiny. So I just turned it way up and I put the probe in the soil so I can know what the temperature of the soil is, because you want the soil temperature to be, for peppers, 80 to 85. So these aren't peppers, so this should be about 70 degrees, and I just turned the heat mat up. Let's see what it shows. It's getting there, 68 degrees. So we're getting there, it's slowly coming up. But when I first, this morning, put the probe in here, it was like 60 degrees, even though I had my heat mat set to 70, because going through all this plastic and getting to the top of the soil, it just wasn't heating up. But now I do have to be aware that it's hotter and I will have to water more because they will dry out more. So I'm working on it. So for the peppers, I only have one thermostat. So I'm gonna purchase another thermostat and crank that baby up. So now I'm gonna mist the tops. Peppers take a long time to germinate. If you don't have them on heat, they can take like 3 weeks to germinate. So keep that in mind if you're trying to grow peppers without heat. With heat, they can germinate in 3 to 7 days. So let's see if I can get that heat mat hot enough. And I'm gonna pop these up really quickly, because I find that with peppers, you can easily mess them up by stunting their growth by not potting them up, not planting them at the right time, keeping them in too small pots for too long. There's all sorts of factors. Peppers can be a little bit tricky. So this year, I'm gonna try really hard to get better peppers. I didn't have a great pepper year last year, but I had all those crazy delays. I had the wedding and all that stuff, so I wasn't very attentive to my garden. And this year, my daughter's having a baby, among other things, so it's gonna be another crazy year, but we only can do the best that we can. That's good. Now I'm just gonna put a humidity dome, and I'm gonna get this on a hot, hot surface, 80 to 85 to 90 degrees. So just on a side note, I did buy a whole bunch of unique varieties of tomatoes this year. But I don't really have that many unique peppers. I have a few, but I was wondering if you could put in the comments below, what's your favorite pepper that you grow? And especially if you're here in the Northeast, which pepper do you grow the most successfully? Because I still struggle with peppers. Like the first 2 years I had a great pepper year, and then the last couple of years, just okay. So I would love to hear what your favorite peppers are, and what do you find easiest to grow? What's your most prolific, whatever. I want all the pepper info below. And if you haven't already, be sure to join our grow along, #GrowAtHome2026 that I'm doing with Vita from Budget Garden with Vita and Roxana from Soil and Margaritas. Just this week, we all planted our petunias, so I hope you're joining us. It should be interesting to see everyone's results. I think that's gonna wrap it up for today's videos on peppers. It was a quick one. I really appreciate you guys watching, and if you'd like to subscribe or at least press that thumbs up button, it really helps my algorithm to push my videos so I can share my growing experience with you all. And until next time, get out there and grow. Bye. I'm choking on potty mix.